where you can get the raw, real, and realness tea. We can always kiki, but let's talk. So, you guys, I have a special guest on here, and this person is
Halcyon. Or
Halcyon.
how?
Yes. So, we're going to talk about this topic. And this topic is about dimensions. And it's not any type of dimension, it's this very unique dimension. And Halcyon is
Mm-hmm.
going to tell me about it and tell you guys about it because this is very unique. But before we get into this topic, tell them a little bit about yourself.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Well, hey. Um, I'm an artist.
Okay.
I paint.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You're an artist?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I paint.
Okay.
I make digital art.
Oh, wow. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And on top of that, you're a traveler too, as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Bit of like a indie traveling gypsy, nature
Yeah.
loving.
Got it.
Um,
Type of guy.
yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
From California?
I was born in Kansas, but eventually I made my way to California.
Got it. Okay, that's cool. So, you guys, we're gonna get into this topic of dimensions. So, can you explain it to me and to the people, like what type of dimension this is? Tell me as much as you know of it on this specific dimension.
Hmm. Hmm. Dimensions. Um. Well, from what I've learned.
So, wait, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That was rude of me, but excuse me.
No, it's okay.
There's these like 1D, 2D, 3D.
Hmm.
What are those?
Hmm. I'm still learning this myself, but from what I've learned and experienced and heard from others and like read and well, dimension can be like a place or a state of being.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
yeah, it's beyond human. It's um it's an energy thing.
Is it more like a vortex type of thing?
Not necessarily. It's not like an actual like place.
Okay.
As much as it's like, how do I explain it?
Is it more like a feel in which you could seek in how you go with the nature of the weather and the movement, and you just see just life in your own eyes?
Yes, 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 yes. Because we're made out of like water and star material and like things. Um, I'm getting there. Yeah, and so like 1D or 2D or 3D living would be like not acknowledging our like starriness. It's like living very mundane, and it's like if someone says living in like the 2D or 3D, you're like you're not enjoying nature, you're not like soaking up the sun, you're not laughing, you're not like experiencing new things and opening up your mind and like reaching your soul and seeing all you can be. You're like just getting money or you're working a regular job or you're like sad or like bills or like those can be like 2D or 3D things because they put us in a state that's not like there's some dimensions um, that just come from yeah, us within and how we like interact with the world. And like you're saying, like, yeah, if you do different things, like you can almost get to a different dimension.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hmm.
That's I want to really know about this is because mm, um I've been through so many accidents in my life where like it was like life or death accidents and yeah, so my first accident I went through rehab and no I was in a coma. I seen the afterworld. Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Hmm.
You like I'm telling you, like I still want to try DMT. I really
Mm.
do.
Mm-hmm.
But when I seen the afterlife, I guess I was in a coma, and they said I was in a coma for 2 weeks, and I woke up, and then I was like, "What the heck is going on?" And everything, and I left from the emergency hospital. You know, it's more than just the ER. It's more in the above. You know, and once I left from there, I went to rehab, and I was there for 3 months. And then once I got out of rehab, within 2 months later, me being out, I just seen life like different.
Hmm.
I don't see life like how I used to see it. I don't remember those feelings anymore. I just know this new feel, and
Mm.
and then from there, I was telling myself I got reborn.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I didn't tell myself that. I told myself that the other day. Like, realistically, I got reborn again.
Mm-hmm. Rebirth.
Yeah, rebirth.
A whole new.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Rebirth is real.
hmm
It's super real. Can
yeah,
happen a lot too.
yeah. So back to this dimension thing. This 1D, 2D, 3D,
Hmm.
4D, 5D. So, so what you're really saying? Well, what I got from my friend over here, which is your girlfriend.
Charisma.
Yes. And she was saying
Hmm.
she was saying 3D. Yeah, I hope I'm getting this right. She can shake her head if I get it wrong. Is basically seeing four corners, and that's somebody that told you that that's what you have to have.
Mm-hmm.
Is that 3D?
Yeah, I think it's when people refer to being stuck in the matrix. Like, because you're not following your own passion or desire or feeling and experiencing for yourself,
Uh huh.
but it's like what someone else gave you or told you, like, you're gonna do this and this is all you get and this is your life. And then it limits you and yeah.
So if that's 3D, then what is 2D and 1D?
Mm. I'm not entirely sure because also it's I don't think they're like super definitive. Like 1, 2, and 3 could be in the same category. I think they all just refer to like a simpler state where you're not as like
What do you mean?
um like
Cause, cause charisma over here. She told me that you can tell me a lot more about it, so that's why I have you on here. And I want to know because it's very interesting,
yeah.
and I'm very like curious about it. Like seriously, like honestly, because when she was describing it to me, telling me about it, I was like, wait a minute, I want to know more. I want to stop this. This got to go on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is 4 and 5? How high does it go up to? Is it 5 or 6 it, or is it like the 7?
I mean, I've heard of 8 and 90.
Speak.
Honestly, I feel like um It's basically levels of consciousness. Dimensions aren't necessarily visible. The 3D is visible. We can see it, we can feel it, we can touch it. And the other ones are levels of spirituality, levels of consciousness that aren't necessarily understood by the masses because it takes inner,
Inner work.
a lot of inner work. What's it called? To look within yourself and deeper than what you can see, feel, hear, or touch.
You have to
Deeper than what
convene with
everybody
the
else
other
is doing or what
dimensions.
everybody else is telling you.
Yeah.
And that's where it becomes kind of tricky because it's hard to do that when you're constantly, you were surrounded by that, or that was cool, that was everybody else is doing, and you kind of feel like you have to break away from the norm and what everybody else is doing in order to.
Okay, you guys, this is Charisma coming up on here.
WWE and tagging you in.
Yes. They like tag team. Now we have Charisma on here. She was explaining like behind the cameras right here, but she knows some more information. Charisma. So charisma, charisma. So explain it a little bit more to know that you're on camera and you have the mic in front of you now. So explain the dimensions, because this is very interesting. I really thought that your man will give like the information that you said, but you kind of like know it.
Well,
Well,
he does the living part of it. He lives the dimensions, and he's been teaching me. And so what I'm doing is I'm able to explain through words what I've seen through him through actions.
yes.
And so yeah, he knows a lot and he lives it. And it's kind of hard for him maybe to put it into words, especially because it's so hard to understand unless you actually do it yourself.
Uh huh.
But as somebody who is learning from him, I'm able
Yes.
to put it into words a little bit better.
And also, truly, it's a thing beyond words.
Yeah,
That's something that
it
humans
is
make.
something beyond words. I'm gonna try
Is
to put it
it?
into words, but
It's a
Oh,
consciousness.
so what I'm getting out of this is more beyond words. It's more like
Because humans
you
make
don't you don't you
words.
don't explain it. You just go through the day of the walk of your life when you seek it. It doesn't need words.
well, I can explain it, but you won't really know the depth of it until you feel it yourself. It's kind of one of those things to where you kind of say you had to be there. You just had to be there in order to know what was going on. I could tell you about this awesome story, but unless you were there, you won't really know the magnificence of it. But I can do my best.
And words explain something specific, like table or like hair.
Yeah.
But this is like, it's a feeling and a thing that's just, it's infinite.
So explain it. Maybe we can get some sense from it. If you can just explain.
Yeah, so the dimensions are like more of a spiritual planes and levels of consciousness that go along with that. Um, the 3D is, like I said, things that you can see, feel, hear, touch all around you,
Uh huh.
materialistic stuff,
Uh huh.
And the 4D
Uh huh.
is, I believe, it goes beyond that, knowing that is the knowing of all of this is material, all this is man made, all of this can be gone in an instant. It was created.
Yeah.
When we first were put here as human beings, we
Uh
didn't have all this.
huh. Okay.
We didn't have all these things, and we were set. We were good.
Uh
When we lived
huh.
in the Garden of Eden,
Uh
we were
huh.
chilling. Fruits, vegetables, the nature, and that's all we needed to be happy, and we were happy.
Right.
Yeah. And then 5D is realizing that everything that you need is all around you, and everything around you can find happiness and you can find value and richness in everything around you. You don't have to, it doesn't have to have a price tag, or everybody else doesn't have to be doing it, and that's what I need, and that's what there's things all around you. You can find you know a glass of refreshing tea and to be like, oh my god, this is hitting the spot right now.
Right.
You can take time to appreciate the small things that are actually what you're put here on this earth to do.
Right.
What is a car? A car is just a piece of metal. What's a
Mhm.
phone? Piece of glass, piece of metal, piece of plastic. You know.
You
What's a
can.
sunset though? A sunset is a sight. It's something that you see in the morning and you just stare and it fills you with warmth. A phone can't do that.
Yeah.
What happens when the phone battery die?
I
That
know.
sunset comes every morning and it never gets old.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's the
Yes.
thing with me. I could put my phone down and forget about it the whole entire day.
Because
Like that's how I am.
there's more to life than that.
Yes, exactly. And
There's
I
more to life
like
than that.
nature things, and I like like being out there. Yeah.
And I feel like that's what we're
But
supposed to do.
yeah, I like that. I really do. But the thing is with me, I do like to come home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the difference.
Mm-hmm. I feel like um, home is very relative feeling. You know, you can live at home with your parents and always like be getting into it with them, or have a spouse at home that you really don't like, or a partner at home that you're really not feeling right now. Is that really
Yes.
your home, or is that just where you lay your head? Where
Exactly.
what is a home?
Exactly. You know,
This house is not a home until you make it a home. You have a housewarming party. Then it becomes a home. You know, you have your friends that you invite over. You make it into your own. It's the people. It's the feeling. It's the experience that makes it a home.
exactly.
You know, you can sleep under somebody else's roof and be like, this is not my home.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right. No, that's true.
and it's kind of a confusing thing because it is comforting, it is regular, it is safe, it is constant, and that's there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, that you can also forget, and within that comfort and within that safety and within that regularity, you can kind of forget that it's still four walls.
Right.
It's, you
So,
know.
so can you like, and this will be good for them too. Like, I'm pretty sure they would like to know this too. Like, can you still see four corners and be a five dimension?
Yes, yes. So having you don't have to give up all materialistic things to be 4D or 5D or see beyond. You just have to know its relevance and importance. You know, there's nothing wrong with having a car, but if you lost that car tomorrow, would your life be over?
Yes.
Would you be so dissatisfied in life? Would you
Right.
not recognize the beauty and the opportunity to walk or have good exercise or see the world around you? And you know, it might take you a little longer, but that's okay. We're put on this earth to use our bodies. You know, it's a car that necessary. Or if you lost your house today, you know, would you just be over and, oh, I only have an apartment now, and oh no, oh, I wanted that big fancy house, and I don't have it anymore, and now my life sucks, and da, 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 I'm such a failure. And it's just like, you have to recognize the importance of the things that you do have. You can have good things in life. There's nothing wrong with
Mm-hmm.
that, but you know, those don't make your life. They should never make your life.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. I understand it. You know, that's how I am in some type of degree.
Hmm.
But you know, yeah, that's just
A great example. You remember me? I used to always have the newest iPhone. Always have the
yes.
newest iPhone, and you know, I would always lose them and break them, and you know, I
Mhm.
go about two phones a year, and it would always have to be the most
Mhm.
expensive one. So I'm spending about anywhere from $1,200 to $1,300 a phone 2 times a year.
Yeah, cause you were Verizon.
Yes, and I had to have the most expensive phone plan, you know, and I had to have, you know, the
yeah.
best this, best that, and I'm
Yes.
just like, but I'm just like, I went through so many phones, and what I tell you about it, I liked having a phone. It was cool. Don't get me wrong, but those individual phones, I just wanted to have the item, the best one, the newest one. And now, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I have a Obama phone. It's a cracked Obama phone, Android, and it does everything I need and everything I want it to, and I'm grateful for that. And it's free. And
Okay.
you know, the difference is, you know, pretty obvious, but the difference in my level of happiness is because I don't depend on my phone or my materialistic thing that, you know, people say, oh my God, this is the best new thing. I don't depend on that anymore to be happy. And therefore, I don't relate happiness to that object or
Uh
any
huh.
objects around me.
Uh
You
huh.
know, I could lose my phone and I would just get another one because phones aren't really important to me anymore.
Right.
Just to call my mama and my friends. That's about it. I don't even go on social media anymore. Really.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't go on social
I
media.
don't, cause you know, I'm too busy living the life to post about it. I know when people come in my presence, or when I want to explain a story or explain something that happened, you know, I will do that at the appropriate time. You know, it's kind of an in the moment thing, because that's what life is supposed to be. It's supposed to be in the moment.
Right.
You know, I'm not gonna be documenting
Yeah.
everything.
Exactly. Well.
It's okay too with pictures and stuff. That don't get me wrong. It's just about like recognizing the importance of the reality of the importance of things that you is you have you're gonna have these things.
Can you take this off? It's all tangled up right there. Okay. Yeah.
And one person that we can really look at in history and just in um one person that we can really look at in history and just in life that really lived that 45D mentality was Bob Marley, you know?
Bob Marley.
Yeah, a legend, right?
Okay,
A
tell me,
legend.
tell me, explain more.
And it wasn't just about the pot smoking or just the music. It was just the reality of like the weed and the herb and the music were things that he loved to do in life, and he didn't need to like.
Those do enhance your.
Yeah, it was a tool, and it wasn't like he did it for money. He lived life to the fullest, and he shown his light was really bright, and people noticed that.
Uh huh.
And that's what the fame and the media try to like really try to like ask him a lot of 3D questions,
Right.
such as like
Uh-huh.
how much money have you made and are you rich, and he
Uh-huh.
was just gave him a 5D answer. He said, what is rich? What is rich?
Mm-hmm.
I've always been rich.
Yeah.
Before the fame, for the money, I was always rich.
Always rich.
My life every day was like, I smoke the herb, and I'm just, you know and that's happiness, and I'm happy, and I spread it to others, and that's what makes me rich. What do you want, a monetary amount? Well, I'm not going to give you a monetary amount because I don't believe that's what richness means. So
Uh-huh.
he was already there. He's a great example of that. He was
Uh-huh.
very down to earth, and nothing ever really changed him. And
More like what is rich because I'm living. I'm
yes,
here.
yes, because they say money can't buy happiness, and it
Yes,
really
and money
can't.
cannot buy happiness.
Because what I found when I was living a really 3D lifestyle was I was always trying to like almost not necessarily stunt, but I felt like I had to have these things in order to feel worthy amongst my peers. Or if I didn't have this or having X, Y, and Z, not that I wanted to flex on people, but like I felt like, well, if you didn't have that, then why even show your face? You better,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have a job or a car X, Y, and Z, or a better one than blah blah blah. The next, you kind of have to try to get ahead, and what I
Mm-hmm.
found, it's never really enough. So what is rich in general? Because some of the most wealthiest people in the world, they have to have more and
Can you
have to
get
have
into?
more, until it's just like you know, wealth is wealth is really relative, and if it takes money and a lot of money for you, it's like where's the limit to that?
Right.
And if you have to have X, Y, and Z and a whole bunch, it's like I feel sorry for you because I don't really need to have much, but love, happiness, and great people around me, and that's all I need to have an amazing life. And I've been living that for the past like I want to say since honestly maybe like year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was already doing some things, and I already because life had kind of brought me back down to a rough point,
Uh huh.
and where I felt like I wasn't really worthy of a lot of things, or I was embarrassed of my situation. But then what I found was, looking back, every day I was happy, even though I didn't have the car that I always had, or even though I wasn't,
Yeah.
a nursing assistant anymore, and, I didn't have the newest phone anymore, or I was wearing secondhand clothes. I kind of was like, damn, I don't, what do I tell my friends? I kind of like lost contact with certain friends because I felt like I had to prove things to them. And maybe that was a good thing because, those are the type of friends that kept me in that 3D plane. It was like checks and balances. I couldn't
Mhm.
elevate if I was too busy trying to meet the expectations of others. So
Mhm.
I had to kind of get humbled by life in order to really see
Mhm.
the bigger picture, that every day where most people would say, "Oh, you're struggling," or you need to level up, I was
Mhm.
happy every single day. Every single day. Whereas where I had the car and I had the job, it was always, I gotta pick up these shifts because I gotta pay my expensive rent. I
Uh
want to
huh.
drive everywhere. I have all this money, but now I gotta do maintenance on my car. Now I gotta
Uh
do all this
huh.
gas. And it was
Right.
just like, it was a rat race. You're never
Uh
winning.
huh.
You always got to get more and get more and get more. And it's just like, I'm glad I escaped that reality.
Right.
It's really hard because you have a lot of people, pretty much the majority, I feel like, of the world
Uh
that's
huh.
like kind of looking at you or looking down on you or X, Y, and Z, but you have to really break away from that and get humbled and humble yourself to be able to escape. Because what you're living in, what we're living right now, is in a society and a world where men, people have created. These
Uh-huh.
buildings and these structures and X, Y, and Z, they were never there at first.
Right,
But
exactly.
people still lived. They
Uh-huh.
had family. They were happy. And they
Right.
died. You know, people like, I don't know how people used to live back in the day. They didn't have this and they didn't have that. They lived pretty damn good lives. I'll tell you that right now. My grandma was a Great Depression baby. You know,
Really?
first generation American because her parents came from Mexico. She didn't have shit.
Who came up from Mexico?
My grandmother.
Oh,
Her parents
okay.
came from Mexico and she was born here. You know, first generation American, and she didn't really have shit. Like, she was growing up on the tail end of the Great Depression, but all she had was happiness. Her family was everything, and she lived
Uh-huh.
a good life. You know, so I'm just like, it just goes to show, you know, the things that we think we need to be happy can be a prison, it can be a burden, it can actually hold us back from real, true happiness, that elevation, that from experiencing these other dimensions of consciousness, these other dimensions and levels of consciousness, spiritual dimensions and levels of consciousness. So we can get held back in the materialistic world that we're kind of trapped in. We're put in society where we were told that you need X, Y, and Z to be happy, and we're grown up seeing all this, and to where now we're feeding into it,
Right.
thinking that if we don't have X, Y, and Z, we're not going to be happy. So we kind of fall into the prison that we're put in, you know? It kind of sucks. It really does. We can't even realistically grow our own food. We can't even realistically, you know, build our own homes. We have
Uh-huh.
to buy, we have to X, Y, and Z, you know, there's money that costs for land and X, Y, and Z, and I kind of get it because we do live in a society where there's laws and there is, you know, rules within and et cetera, et cetera. But it's just like you gotta almost pay to be alive, pay to
Right.
have a human
Right.
experience. It costs to be a human,
Right.
and that fucking sucks. How is I don't that's There's nothing happy about that. Now there's nothing wrong with having materialistic things or having a good job or having a working job, but make sure if you're gonna have a job, work a job that you believe in. Work for yourself, for your own company, and it's okay if you don't have a business to start. Because I recently found some business that I wanted to start because I found things that I started to believe in and I started to value and cherish,
Uh-huh.
and so those are, you know, special to me. But if you can't work for somebody else, I mean, if you can't work for yourself, it's okay to work for somebody else. Just make sure you're working for something that you believe in, that a job that you like, that you enjoy doing, that doesn't feel like work,
Right.
that you're not saying I have to be miserable every day in order to get this bread, you know, to
Right.
pay this rent. And
I
it's just
know.
like,
Yeah.
you know, you spend what, 40 hours, you know, there's 8 hours in a day you go to work, you have 8 hours about to sleep, you commute back and forth from all these places.
Uh-huh.
What time do you really have to yourself, to your family, to your friends, to live life? So you're working all these hours, you know, sometimes, most of the time for somebody else.
Uh-huh.
And then let's just say, I don't know what percentage of your monthly income goes to your rent,
I know exactly.
right? And then
Yeah.
gas and then X, Y, and Z.
Yes,
So you're
exactly.
working away your life, really,
Mm-hmm.
and not even living.
Yeah, because I remember those days where I would go to work, pay rent, broke.
Mm-hmm.
Like dead. Like I can't even like do anything. I can't even leave the house. I mean, I can, but I would just be walking around,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all I can do.
But you spent all this time working,
Yes,
probably at a
working.
stressful job with employees maybe or
I
coworkers
know.
that you didn't
Yes.
like. We've all been there, you know. And it's just like, but it's just like, and now I'm here at this place that I'm doing all this bullshit in order to keep up
I
this
showed you where
lifestyle.
I used to live in those apartments out here.
Oh
Like
yeah.
besides the IKEA one, but the other one
Mm-mm.
where it's like where the palms, damn, like exposing like where I live and everything. But no, but we're walking one time and you got in a big argument
With who?
with your ex.
Oh fuck. Sheesh. Yeah, we're not
Yeah.
arguing.
Anyways, yeah. This is the time when you brought him to the strip for the first time. And I was like, oh, I'm going to take you guys there. And we took the most longest, strangest route just to get to the strip.
Yeah. But anyways.
Anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the past.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's just like you gotta, I mean, I don't know. Where was I? I'm sorry, I had a couple of drinks.
Oh no, no, but you're just basically talking about like the jobs and
Oh
how,
yeah.
yeah,
And so you work and do all this work, go through all this stress, you know, all for these four walls to get to the four walls and be like, well, now that I'm here, what am I gonna do? Fucking sleep?
right.
Watch TV?
Mm-hmm.
You might have a good enough job to where you do have money to go out, X, Y, and Z, but it's just like for all that money just to go into a space around you, you know, I'm comfortable with a humble space. I wouldn't mind a cheaper rent, etc., etc.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, maybe it's because I haven't lived enough life. Maybe when you get older, you want to have X, Y, and Z. There's like I said, there's nothing wrong with it, but for me, I found that because I used to be to the point to where I had to have the best. My rent. This is back in 2000. I was about 20 years old, and this is back in 2018, 2019 was $1,400 a month, and back then for a one bedroom, that was a lot,
Yes.
and I was 20.
And
Or
guess how much it could be today?
it's probably
It
definitely
probably,
around
probably,
$1,800,
yeah,
1,700, $1,800. But back then it was $1,400,
yeah,
and I was paying that by myself, and I had two full time jobs. Yes, I was working 80 hours a week, two
yes.
different jobs. They were down the street from each other, two different nursing homes, and
Oh, really?
hmm
Whoa.
So most of the days I was working double shifts because they
Well,
were back to back. It was because in the nursing world it's usually PM shift is 2 to 10 and or 2:30 to 10:30, and then overnight shift is from 10 to 6 or 10:30 to 6:30, and
mhm.
so those are the schedules. So I told my job, I have another job. I'm gonna be 10 minutes late, but so I for 8 months straight I worked my body to death, damn near,
Well, I want to say,
for all this.
I really want to say thank you because that is very strong for you to do like that. You said two medical jobs.
Oh yeah,
You're
full time.
down the street from me, both full times?
Full time. Yes, I was working 8 hours a week. I never had a day off. Literally never had a day off.
I thought.
If it wasn't one job, if it wasn't both jobs, it was one or the other.
Because that is super labor work. And
hmm
you to do that, nobody can tell you anything.
I had a drive though in my
You did
mind,
that. Yeah.
and it was all money related. I needed
Yeah.
money because I didn't want to be in a struggle again.
Yeah.
But in
Yeah.
those 8 months, I didn't do shit. I never saw my family. I never saw my
Yeah.
friends. I never got to spend the money I was making.
Exactly.
So it was just kind of like I was chasing this dream of monetary and materialistic happiness,
Right.
and I wasn't happy. I worked myself to fucking exhaustion.
Right.
Got this big old apartment and stuff, and it was kind of cool. But then I realized like I'm never here. I got this big old apartment, and I always want to be somewhere else but here. All I do is sleep here.
Uh-huh.
But it's so expensive. It's so nice, so gated. I never use the fucking pool. I never use the gym, but it has
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff, right? And I'm
Right.
just like, and it was part of my learning path. I had to look back on life and realize when I had everything and when I was working myself and getting this bread,
Uh-huh.
basically in a negative perspective, it's okay to, it's definitely okay to make money and get in a positive, like I said, way that you believe in, something that enriches you, something that serves you. Never again will I ever work a job to where I'm just like, I hate this job, but I'm stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Never again. I'm too grown. I've learned too much. If I do not like a job, I do not care. I will quit. I might secure another one real quick, but I will quit
Mm-hmm.
that job so fast.
Mm-hmm.
So fast.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if the next one is lower paying. I don't have people, kids depending on me, etc., etc. I depend on myself. And so at this point, if I don't like a job, I'm gonna leave. My life is too precious for me to
Mm-hmm.
waste my hours of my life, hours and hours of
Correct.
my life.
Yes.
Too precious,
Yes, exactly.
you know. And
Yes.
I'm precious. I'm precious.
Are
I'm
we all
royalty.
precious?
Exactly. But we need to start thinking like that. We
Yes.
shouldn't be working jobs that don't serve us.
Right.
In order to do that, we have to let go of some things that we think we need. These jobs that do not serve us, that mistreat us, that use us and abuse us in order to
Yeah.
maintain these materialistic lifestyles. So we might have to let go of some of the things. So that's where you get that disconnect from the people that have a higher elevation and spirituality and and can go through the dimensions.
Uh-huh.
That's where you get that disconnect because some people can't let that stuff go,
Okay.
and there's a price that comes with that.
Yes.
You want on this X, Y, and Z, well, you're never really going to be able to elevate and see past that. And I could say that because I've been on both sides of the fence. I used to be that person. I used to really be very materialistic, and I was happy, but I always had to have money. And if I didn't have
Mhm.
money, then I was just like, well, what do I do now?
Right.
And now, I have a lot less money than I used to, but I'm the most happiest that I've ever been in my entire life.
Wow.
And I cannot. I told my mom the other day too. I was like, Mom, you got to stop worrying about me. You got to stop asking me, do you have this? Do you have that? Because I don't. And guess what? I'm happy and I'm safe. And I'm not going to go back and forth with you, Mom. You're
Wow.
not going to understand this. I don't expect you to. But I know who I am. And I could tell you, Mom, this is the most happiest I've ever been in my life. And I'm not. I'm not going to even. She keeps trying to, because she's very successful in the 3D world. I'm not saying
Oh wow.
I'm so serious. And the normal, normal 3D person would be like, "Damn, your mom's pretty successful, pretty well off, and she pretty well is," and that worked for her. There's nothing wrong with being X, Y, and Z. Maybe she does see beyond that, but she does have a lot of materialistic stuff. But I don't think she depends on it. I definitely don't think she depends on it. But navigating through that system worked for her, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, it wasn't working for me. I kept trying
Uh-huh.
to make it work for me and trying to buy happiness and X, Y, and Z and
Uh-huh.
have what people told me I needed to have be happy, and I still wasn't happy.
Uh-huh.
So this is what's working for me, and I love it. And it's like with Gandhi, with what's it called? What's that one? Buddha,
Okay.
X, Y, and Z. They're so fucking spiritually just elevated and so rich in spirit, so happy, and they were so poor.
Mhm.
They were so they didn't really put a lot of happiness in materialistic things. Even with food, it was very simple. Food is supposed to be nourishment. It's not supposed to be something that you are greedy and gluttonous about. If I'm gonna eat to fill my stomach and
Uh-huh.
enjoy the cooking, but it's not like I need to have abundance amount and I need to have pig out on this and this and that. It's just like, are you eating to feed yourself? Are you eating because you're a slave to food? Realistically. And I'm not gonna lie, I was the type of person to where I was eating because I was bored. I'd be bored and go straight to the
Uh
fridge. Bored and go straight to the fridge because it was stimulation. But I
okay.
wasn't actually hungry. I really wasn't. I just wanted to taste something. It was just,
Cause you were just bored.
exactly. But that's what a lot of people in this society, we as human beings, we have muscles, we have senses, we have X, Y, and Z, because we were put on this earth to experience life, not stress over it. We're
Uh-huh.
meant to be running, walking, it's like climbing things and growing and whatever, swimming, whatever the case may be. We weren't supposed to sit 8 hours a day at a desk. That's
Right.
so fucking unnatural. That's so like, who does that besides human beings?
Uh-huh.
Realistically, we were not supposed to sit in one place for 8 hours and do X, Y, and Z or da da da. We've built a society to where that's what we do, even at a desk,
Uh-huh.
whatever the case may be. There's other types of school systems to where it's outdoors and you're learning and there is desk work, but a lot of it is experience, and that's what we're supposed to
Uh-huh.
do. We're supposed to experience things. People have ADHD because we're supposed to be constantly moving. We're supposed to be constantly experiencing things and
Right.
taking in different types of information. We're not supposed to be focused on one thing specific. Like, that's so unnatural. That's so natural. Realistically, where's I feel like a lot of people may have a lot of mental illnesses and stuff like that because we're put in, we're put into a system that goes against our natural instincts.
Uh-huh.
You know, we're supposed to experience and live life, and we're not. We're living life within a certain, you know, almost like a set path and structured path that's not realistic, and therefore our bodies are just kind of telling us, like, our bodies are getting mentally sick, mentally
Yes.
illness, because our bodies are like, what the fuck, like, this is not how I'm supposed to live life.
Mm-hmm.
People tell me I have ADHD, I can't sit still. We're not supposed to sit still. What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Statues are supposed to sit still, baby, not me.
Exactly. Yeah.
What? It's just unrealistic.
Mm-hmm.
All this, everything, because I also have some senses of anxiety too. Why? Because I'm always in the house all the time. I'm always in my car all the time. So when I first Because I've been driving since I was 17, and then I didn't really not have a car for the first time until I was about 22.
Okay.
So yeah, 22, 23. Yeah. So, and I'm 25 now. And so when I first started walking on my 2 feet on the sides, I had so much anxiety. I felt like everybody in their cars were staring at me.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just like, what the fuck? But you know what? I never really conditioned myself to walking and being outside before and being around people. Like, unless,
Oh, you basically were like you're sheltering
I was sheltered.
yourself.
If I wasn't in my apartment, I was in my car or I was in a set location with a set amount of people. I was
Right.
never really interacting X, Y, and
Yeah.
Z. And then I always,
So how did that feel?
it was kind of like I said, I had a lot of anxiety. It was kind of like scary because I felt like everybody's looking at me or looking at if my hair wasn't like good, it would be like, oh my god, blah blah blah, look at her. But at the end of the day, when I was driving, I never really give a fuck about the people that was on the sidewalk. Never did. But it's these bubbles that we create for ourselves that you know we kind of create out of instinct and out of what we're taught. We create these
Uh-huh.
little safety bubbles almost
Right.
that are unrealistic, and we don't get out and interact with the world how we're supposed to, and as a result,
Right.
that kind of
Right.
disables us in a bit. That's how I feel about it. I'm not an
Okay.
expert, and I don't know everybody else's situation, but that's definitely how it was for me. Once I started walking around, I realized walking on the sidewalk is normal. Nobody's judging you. Nobody's saying you don't have a car. Nobody's, you know, that's how I really felt though, and it's fucked up. But it was a subliminal conditioning that was done, you know,
Wow,
for me
that's
because I never really walked before.
uh-huh. I get it though. I really do because it's a it's different for the human body because so like you probably been out there in the streets, but there's moments where it's like you had to like stop because you have work, job, or you didn't need to because you had a car, so you never had to walk. So
Mm.
you had a car, you know, and then you met up with people.
Everything was basically in my comfort zone. So even if I did take a walk to the park, it was something like that was it was it was almost like it was very at my leisure and when I wanted to, and it was never like I had to walk. It was I'm choosing to walk. But when I had
Uh
to the point to where I didn't have any other choice but to walk, that's when
huh.
I felt like, oh my gosh, all this anxiety, like da, da, da. But if I wanted to just walk to the park by myself or even walk to the store because it was close by, that was cool. But when I had to walk to the store because I had no other option,
Uh huh.
that's when it was just like, oh my god, I looked like, oh, I'm walking and everybody knows that I don't have a car, and it was just like, it was just so like so almost tone deaf and just such a disconnect to where I was just like, there's nothing wrong with walking.
Right.
Phase of spiritual awakening.
It's part of spiritual awakening. You have to get out of that comfort zone to realize you're creating not a comfort zone, but a prison. That comfort zone
Uh huh.
were shackles. Were shackles.
Shackles?
Yes,
Shackles? What do you
yes.
mean by that?
It held me back. Yes.
Shackles means it helped you be free. That's what shackle means.
No, it shackled me to where it prevented me from my true freedom. Because
Oh.
if I didn't have this, then I wasn't okay. Then I had anxiety. Then I was without, and I was less than, and I was ashamed. And it
Right.
was just like those were just holding me back so much.
Uh
And
huh.
and people, I think, do realize this to an extent, but it's like, do you really realize this? Is it reflecting in the lifestyle that you live? Because everybody knows the phrase "money can't buy happiness," but they sure don't live like it. They sure do live like if they had this money, then they would be so happy. But everybody knows that it's that old phrase, "Money cannot buy happiness," but they still don't live by that because they still are always chasing the next big thing or always X, Y. And so that spiritual awakening, that level, that raise in your level of consciousness
Uh
and
huh.
your navigation through a higher dimension of being, state of being, spiritual being, you realize like all of this is first of all temporary. All of
Right.
this is this whole system and society that we live in is a system and a construct that was made by man, that was made by
Yes.
people.
Yes.
What
Exactly.
do we
Yes.
need to live? Food and water
Uh
and
huh.
sleep. And that's all we need. You can fall asleep, close your eyes, you'll fall asleep about anywhere. I fell asleep in the car.
Oh. So, well, you guys, I guess that's it right there about the dimensions and everything in that topic and that aspect. Yes, I hope you guys learn from this, can relate to it. If you guys have any questions about this topic and this conversation, just put it down in the comment sections down below. So you know where this is going. This is going to be the end of the podcast right now. So I have Charisma right here. So do you like to shout out your social medias, or you that's just like
Oh, no,
no.
I'm okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you're okay. Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't know me, don't follow me.
Okay. Okay, yeah. I figured that. So, and I'm pretty sure it's the same thing for the
And definitely don't follow my boyfriend because we will fight.
oh. Anyways. Yeah, you artists, you have yeah. Yeah, but
He's for the streets.
Yeah, but social media.
Yes, I do. It's
You want to come over here real quick and say it real quick and real fast? So, we're going to say it.
It's just first name, last name. Halcyon Clay.
Halcyon.
HALCYON .CLAY. Halcyon Clay.
Okay, say it one more time. Say it one more time.
Halcyon Clay.
Okay. Come back, Charisma. Yeah. Okay. This is going to be the end right here. So, all right, you guys. Well, thank you. All right, you guys. Thank you for grabbing a chair and grabbing a tea to tune in this Kiki podcast where you can get the raw, real, and realness tea. We can always Kiki, but let's talk. So, see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all for tuning in. I sincerely hope you found the content enjoyable and relatable, and that you were able to learn something from it. Sending love your way, and until next time, goodbye.